Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to Talking Politics. I hope everyone had a safe 4th of July. My name is Robert Press. I write for the Bronx Chronicle, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and Parkchester Times, which the latter, like this show, is part of Muslim Media Corporation. I also have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com, where you will see more on some of the things that I mentioned here on the show. And I have Facebook pages at 100% and what is going on in your community board. The views expressed on this show are that of the host, any guest, or anyone who is commenting at the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily those of Muslim Media Corporation. Let's go to the weather. It has been hot last week, and today the temperature should get up to a muggy 86 with possible light late showers. Saturday should start off with possible showers left over from tonight, and it should get to be a muggy 87 on Saturday. It looks like Sunday will be the best day to go to the beach with a high of 89 and much less humidity with no chance of rain. Monday will start off at 90 degrees with a possible light late shower and more humidity than on Sunday. As a matter of fact, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has issued an air quality for ozone, so be careful, don't stay out long. There is a air quality alert for ozone in the air. Now I see my guest is here, so let me introduce my guest, former Councilman Andy King. Andy, are you there?
I believe
there he is. Modern technology. Can you hear me, Andy? Okay, Mr. Producer, what's happening?
There we go.
Yes. Oh, there you are, Andy. Okay. Oh, I love that bow tie.
Thank you, good man.
How are you, first off?
Hey, blessed and highly favored. The good Lord gave me the blessings of waking up. My knees don't hurt. I can still do the Cupid shuffle, so I guess I'm okay.
And they love you in the community still.
Yeah, God is good on that end. I really appreciate family, friends, neighbors, and neighborhood here in the confines of the Boogie Down Bronx. So God bless us all, and you as well.
And you represented Co-op City and part of Wakefield, which was in the 16th Congressional District now. Let's talk a little about that race. What happened to Jamal Bowman? Why did he lose?
I think one of the things that had happened to our Congress member is, when you get elected, you got to stay connected, and you're as good as your team. And if your team isn't all that great with connecting you with the district that you are representing, you can have challenges such as this one. And I also believe that not only, and I'm not even talking about the money that was spent that was targeted at getting him out of office. Yes, that had an impact. It had a play. But sometimes, not a lot of times, as elected officials, you can be your worst enemy. And that means what? Sometimes you can say the right things, sometimes you can say the wrong things. And you got to realize as an elected leader that you represent everybody. You can't put yourself in a corner for one group and where it might hurt another group. You got to always show a balance. And if you're educating the people on an issue that is really not right for one set of people, then you have to educate them. And I think if you lack if you don't put that education before folks, then the people who have to vote for you won't stand with you. And a lot of voters don't know enough. If an elected official make you feel good, they figure out to go in that direction. But in this case, people forget the job was in Washington, but the people who vote for you, the people in your neighborhood. So you got to make sure you're connected with the people in your neighborhood. And I think along that lines, there was a disconnect.
Well, it seemed Jamal Bowman had Co-op City in the 2020 redistricting. Then it was given to Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. And now with this new redistricting, it was given back to Congressman Bowman. So was that a factor that he came, he left, and now he's back? Because less than 1/3 of the Bronx people in Co-op City voted. About 30% voted. Where in the rest of the district, further up in Westchester, about 45% of the voters voted. So, is there a disconnect with voters here in the Bronx?
Yeah, there was a disconnect, and I think one of the worst things that he could have done, coming towards the final chapter of the race, was going to the South Bronx and make a case for who, I don't know. He was in the South Bronx with Ocasio and Sanders, I believe it was. But I'm trying to figure out, why were you there when you have a real race? You didn't have a fake race. You had a real race, and that you had to spend your last moments in time being in that district. Co-op City, as I moved around to Co-op City, a lot of people were bothered with Bowman that when he left, he never stayed connected. So even though they might have redistricted you, you still need to be part of the whole borough of the Bronx. And that means you still have represented the North Bronx. So there's no reason why you're not to connect with your base. If this was your base in the previous years, then you have to make sure you secured your base, because Latimer was securing his base. So in which you don't secure your base, someone else will come in and get it. And I had to say to my brother one time, I was at a public meeting and I was asking him, where's your team? Latimer was in the house and nobody from Bowman was there. So I'm saying these are the little snafus that could cause you to lose your seat, and clearly demonstrated that's why he didn't lose his seat as well.
Some people think that AOC was trying to project against Donald Trump, where Donald Trump had a rally in the South Bronx. So AOC decided to have one to show Donald Trump that she can draw more people, which she didn't, and she could bring more people. And it didn't work. It hurt Jamal Bowman, as we saw, and he lost. Now, if AOC had Co-op City, now there was a candidate, Jonathan Soto, running against Michael Benedetto. He only gained a few points in the race against Benedetto this time. He had 35% last time he ran 2 years ago. He got about 39% this time. Do you think if AOC was in Co-op City, that Jonathan Soto could have come on her coattails and win the race against Benedetto?
So you're asking the question. Let me get it right. You're saying if AOC was representing Co-op City and Soto went under the coattails on the line, that Soto would have beat Benedetto?
I'm asking you if that could have happened.
I can't necessarily say so. As I on the ground and talk to folks, it's not like people were totally through with AOC as well. You know what I'm saying? In Co-op City. So, they both have had a challenge that you got to represent the neighborhood. You got to be in the district. You got to have a team that's visible. You got to have a team that's doing things. So while you have a small fraction of people who will be with you, there's a larger mass that are saying another conversation. And if you're not on the ground to know that, then it didn't make a difference who was leading the charge with Soto against Benedetto. Benedetto being there for the fact that incumbency mattered here. And it's not like everybody in the world today is happy with what the Democrats have been doing. So that's a whole other conversation that people don't have on the ground to understand what has the Democratic Party done, not only in the United States, but done to New Yorkers. And once you start having that real conversation about what has happened under the Democratic watch, that some people are going to wake up, some people are going to be annoyed, and some people are going to lose their seats.
Well, there's talk now that Jamal Bailey, the Bronx Democratic Party chair, who has his state Senate district, covers Co-op City and the area where the 16th congressional district was. There's talk that he may run against George Latimer in 2 years or even become a judge. What do you think Jamal Bailey is going to be doing in 2 years?
Well, I've heard the same rumors itself. Again, it's rumors until it comes out of the voice that you hear. I say till you hear it out of the horse's mouth. But then I do understand, in the world of career politics, do you want to be in a position forever? And if the goal, as I've heard in the past, and the goal was to have Jamal Bailey look to be the Congress member of that district. But Bowman ended up getting it, I think, ahead of the political schedule. And so now, did it change the plans or not? Don't know, but I am hearing that he might want to look to become a judge if he can't become the Congress member. But whatever he does, I hope it's in the best interest of the community and in the best interest of his family.
Okay, so then let me ask you, if Jamal Bailey moves on, who do you think will replace him as the head of the Bronx Democratic County Organization? I know that's a loaded question, but I want your answer.
Well, it's I don't even consider it a loaded question, due to the fact that democracy in the United States is jacked. It's been hijacked. When we start talking about Democracy is a government for the people, by the people. You have people who got the mic who are making the loudest noise that set the stage and the tone of how government is operating towards communities. But not necessarily, that's not what the communities are feeling or thinking. So when people start getting pissed off about if Donald Trump is going to be back in office or how strong the rubber up and this might win some seats, take a look at yourself and see what you have done to neighborhoods, to people, to just systems in place that you've dismantled some stability that allow people to feel stable and safe in across America and New York. So whoever becomes the county chair at this place in time, I don't know how much that really matters because the Democratic Party has done things to hurt themselves. They got to do a do-over.
Right, and continuing on that, in the 13th council district, which is below Co-op City, and the 12th council district, a Republican was elected for the first time in 40 years because of what the Democrats were doing. The community got fed up and they said, well, we don't want the current councilwoman, and they elected a Republican. There's talk now that the former councilwoman may run again, but I can't see that. You know, she's one of the considered candidates. There's about 3 or 4 that are being considered. Then other names include John Doyle, who works for Jacoby Hospital and is pushing the Just Home project, which will bring up to 50 prisoners from, or I should say 50 people incarcerated at Rikers Island to Jacoby Hospital. These will be people that they said were stage 4 cancer patients, which are now as little as people with diabetes. And I mentioned this to Mayor Adams yesterday, or I should say Wednesday, at his press conference. He held a press conference on police stats. And before I go into this, I'm just going to tell you that he said for 6 months that crime is down. And I said to him, here is the sheet from the 49th precinct, where for the past 2 years, crime is up almost 35%. And he looked at his chiefs that were there, and Chief LePetri said, yes, the crime is up to about 35%. We're sending additional officers. What do you think about Mayor Adams and how is he doing?
Who, the mayor?
Yep.
I think the mayor came in strong. He had an idea of how he wanted to govern. But again, I say you are strong as the team that you have around you. And if your policies, and again, he's working with a council that have put policies in place that has hurt the city of New York, I truly believe. It not always benefited. And what some people in government forget, once you become in government, you're no longer an activist. You have to take the responsibility as an adult in the room and being a quality legislator, that's what you're supposed to be as a city council member. So when it came to the mayor coming in and doing what the mayor wanted to do and doing some things, you know, the mayor shouldn't have to veto bills, but then the city council shouldn't have to override a veto because it's about their own agenda, not how do we make the city safer, better, or improve it for New Yorkers. And I think the mayors had, you know, God bless them, they came together and did something historic, got a budget together that makes sense, baseline some things, so it doesn't have to be the stupid budget dance that always happen, but they can focus on the real issues that matter to New Yorkers, whether it's the economy, being safe, and all these things take place, and making sure that our children are raised properly. You know, not every agenda that someone throws on the table, government needs to grab on and hold on and run down the street on fire with. And I think this setup in this day and age, that's what has happened, and it's hurt people in neighborhoods. And some people aren't speaking right now, but people are speaking when it's time to go to the poll, i.e. the 13th district. And I think you may see a lot more of this coming up in the next few elections. Well,
the city has certain regulations that if you have a broken street light, you call a city council person. If you have a problem with your housing, it's technically the state senator or state assembly person that will take care of that. And if you have a problem with Medicare, it's the federal government, or the post office, the federal government. What we have right now with the cannabis situation is overlapping between the state and the city. We have a assemblywoman from Queens who made the padlock bill. How do you think cannabis is going in the Bronx? Is it going in the right direction? I know because they say there's about 500 or more illegal cannabis stores in the Bronx, and they're closing them. They closed 400 citywide. The mayor has said. What do you think about the cannabis situation here in the city, in the Bronx?
Well, let me first put it on the record. As a council member, I was against legalizing marijuana, period. Anything that takes a person out of their natural state of mind is not a good thing to do. And I also knew and figured out that, hey, there's going to be the big tobacco companies or the big companies who will get identified and say, we're going to give you this business to make the money. But, you know, Malik, who's on the corner of White Plains and 229th Street, is not going to get that license, but that's not going to stop him from selling weed. So what ends up happening is that Malik gets caught, even though it's legal to sell it, he's going to get caught for having an illegal, selling weed illegally, and he's still going to get jammed up in jail. So that's what's happening. You got people who open up who probably was selling weed before weed was legal. So now you tell me it's legal. I start my own business because to go through the system might be a challenge. I might not be a priority on the system. So again, I just thought the whole thing was flawed. I don't think we never should have put anything where, you know, I go into high schools, you know, and you smell weed in the high school buildings. You know, some teachers complain the kids are sitting there stupid and dumb because they got high before they walked into the building. These are the repercussions that occurred to a bill when somebody upstate thought it was a great thing to say, hey, let's get paid because you know what? The neighborhood is making money off of selling weed illegally. Let's make it legal so we can tap into that business, and then we'll jam them up for those who are selling it illegally. So that's my position on it. I don't think it never should have been legalized, but now that it's legalized, you know, it's one of those things. The cat got out of the bag, the genie's out of the bottle, and you can't grab some of that stuff. You know, there's a lot of issues that law enforcement has to deal with than government creating their own issues. And I think that's what we just did here.
Right, because I asked State Senator Gustavo Rivera, who's one of the sponsors of the MRTA Act, I said to him, gee, what kind of tests do the police give to people if they feel they're driving under the influence? He says, well, we don't have a test yet, but they give them a sobriety test, and then they take, you know, if they feel they're under the influence, they take them to the precinct and we'll give them a blood test. So, I mean, you know, how do you make a law and don't have what's, you know, the end product? And my final question to you before I let you go, Andy, you're out. You will be out of the council for 4 years. That was the reason that you couldn't run last year. They said you had to sit out 4 years. What is the future of former Councilman Andy King? Will he run again in 2025?
I will be continuing to service people in the neighborhood and borough of the Bronx in the 12th district as long as the Lord keeps me standing. Whatever he decides that he wants me to do and place me, because whatever victory happens is going to be his victory. I'm giving it all praises, all energy, all power to the Most High in Christ, who carries me through all the trials and tribulations. Because if he was not in my life, I'd have been dead and gone a long time for how they executed and hung me 4 years, whatever years ago. I don't even think I leave that behind me for right now. So I'm just sharing that to the folks who are listening. Hey, a lot of people have asked me to come back around. A lot of people aren't happy. Some people aren't happy. Some people play the game. Some people just work with whoever's in the seat. But I've been asked a number of times, can you come back in some capacity and help our district? We're watching it fall down. We're watching it crumble. We're watching overcrowdedness. We're watching things that just aren't. When you were there was a greater feel of sense of camaraderie amongst everybody in the neighborhood, which has been lost in fracture because you asked earlier about who would be the Democratic chair for the county of the Bronx. At the end of the day, everyone needs to figure out how to be united and work for a neighborhood. You don't have the luxury as an elected official to pick and choose who you're going to have relationships with. And that's what a lot of folks have done today. And then who gets hurt in the long run? The community. So I give it all to the Most High in Christ. Wherever he's going to place me in 2025, I just need to be ready. As Sean Francois would say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
I want to thank you for coming on the show. And should you decide to run, I want to welcome you back on so we can talk about what's wrong in the district and see what's going on. I'm going to go to a commercial right now, because I'm a little late on that. I'm almost to 2/3 mark. And again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. So, Mr. Producer, can we go to a commercial?
Thank you again. God bless.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platform with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the website they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Okay, welcome back to Talking Politics. I'm going to try and give a condensed version of what else has happened around the city, state, and country. Tonight, President Joe Biden heads to the battleground Wisconsin state for a closely watched campaign rally and a critical interview with ABC News that could prove pivotal in his candidacy and presidency. Biden is under growing pressure from Democrats to publicly prove that his mental and physical fitness by answering questions and making unscripted remarks. And he'll get a high-stakes chance to do so when ABC anchor George Stephanopoulos speaks with him in Madison, Wisconsin later tonight. The first excerpts will air tonight on World News Tonight. Then the interview will broadcast in its entirety on ABC at prime time at 8 p.m. As I said, top Democrats are being forcefully and aggressive criticizing President Biden after his debate performance. He met with Democratic governors of New York, Minnesota, Maryland, and others on Wednesday. They say they will support Joe Biden and his re-election bid, and after a candid discussion with him about his weak performance in the last week's debate. The president has always had our backs, they said. We're going to have his back as well, Maryland Governor Wes Moore told reporters after a meeting with Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris at the White House that included 24 Democratic governors and the mayor of Washington, D.C. Some of these people, though, were online and not in person. Now, as far as Donald Trump, his sentencing for his hush money case has been pushed back to September after Trump's lawyers indicated they will ask to set aside the former president's conviction, considering the stunning Supreme Court ruling that presidents have immunity. As far as also a Donald Trump ally, Rudy Giuliani, who is the former mayor of New York City, a federal prosecutor, a longtime ally of Trump, he has been disbarred from practicing law in New York State, an appellate court ruled Tuesday. As far as Governor Hochul, running in 2026 on Tuesday, she told reporters unequivocally that she is running for a second term in the 2 years upcoming. 2026 may be a long way off, but I'm running, Hochul says. I'm preparing for that race. She also said that she will not replace Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado on the ticket. Another thing that our governor is doing, pools at New York State parks will be free this summer. Governor Hochul announced that parking fees, though, will remain at state parks, but admission to the pools inside the parks will be free throughout the entire state, including Long Island and New York City. And it appears that Democrats are asking Governor Hochul to lower the cost of congestion pricing so the MTA can continue with its projects. The Second Avenue subway has been halted due to the halting of congestion pricing that has been put on pause because of the lack of money by the MTA. The pause should end, though, many people say, after the November election, and we'll have to see if the price goes down or more exceptions to the plan are made by Governor Hochul. In New York City, the mayor's race is heating up as State Senator Selmore Myrie of Brooklyn has announced that he is exploring a run for mayor in 2025. Political consultants, though, have told him that one of his biggest challenges facing him is low name recognition. A recent Slingshot Strategies poll showed 82% of registered Democrats who responded either don't have an opinion of Myrie or don't know his name. As far as it goes, I would doubt that many people in the Bronx know of him. Myrie is 37 years old, a central Brooklyn native, son of a Costa Rica immigrants, and was elected in 2018 as part of a slate of candidates against Democratic insurgents who were members of the Independent Democratic Conference, who helped the state Republicans get control of the state Senate. But with the defeat of many of the Independent Democratic Conference members, the Democrats took the state Senate back, and now we see what we have. Cannabis was made legal, and prostitution is next, guys. Myrie is just one of two candidates who has taken the first official step towards running against Adams in the 2025 primary. The other candidate is former city controller Scott Stringer, who finished fifth in the 2021 mayoral primary. Myrie said, "We wanted to see Adams succeed, but what we have seen, unfortunately, is fumbling of the basics of government. Still uncertain is just how vulnerable Adams is, with poor approval ratings and a web of investigations surrounding his administration and 2021 campaign, and the upcoming election will be a year from now. Some of the issues that I have been facing since I was very young," Myrie says, "were rent regulation, money for our schools, thinking about what the future of our climate is going to be. Those things were being stalled in Albany, and I felt that we had to do something. We had to have adequate representation," Myrie said of his decision to run for Senate in 2018. That campaign was also the first time that he went up against Brooklyn Borough President Adams, because Myrie faced State Senator Jesse Hamilton, who was the member of the IDC and protege of Adams, who was then, as I said, Brooklyn Borough President, and had served in that state Senate seat that Adams had at one time. Myrie pledged not to accept donations from the real estate industry and ran with the support of the No IDC NY coalition. He comfortably defeated the Adams-endorsed Hamilton in the Democratic primary before blowing him out of the water when Hamilton ran as a third-party candidate in the general election. Excuse me. The New York City Controller's Office released its monthly update of the Department of Correction dashboard. Key metrics are that the Department of Correction housed 6,351 individuals as of June 14th, 44 people more than it did in May. 2,084 individuals entered DOC custody in May, 169 people more than in April. The Department of Corrections discharged 2,051 people in May, 98 more than in April. The average length of stay of a person detained in DOC custody was 102 days in May, a 3-day decrease from April. In May, the average percent of staff who were out sick was 6%, and the average percent of staff who were on medically restricted leave was 5%, no change from the prior month. Incarcerated individuals missed 12,224 medical appointments in May. Incidents of violence increased in every category excluding slashings and stabbings. 63 recorded assaults, 8 more than in May. 575 fights broke out, 65 more than in April. 17 slashings and stabbings occurred, 6 less than in April. No one reportedly died in custody in Rikers Island or under the DOC control, and at least 3 people have died in Rikers since the beginning of 2024. The Controller's Dashboard, first published in August 2022, monitors pervasive issues in the city jails. You can find it on my blog under the City Council, under City Controller Dashboard. It appears that the Adams administration has asked the judge to step in and immediately squash the selling of illegal flavored vapes by 11 wholesalers in New York City. The suit was filed against the wholesalers in April, citing data that kids and teens are getting hooked on the flavored e-cigarettes at an alarming rates. Now the city lawyers say they need a preliminary injunction to force the illegal flavored vapes peddlers to quit their sales immediately. The primary injunction does note that the seller's website still lists the illegal vape flavors. As far as illegal cannabis, what's happening is that the city is now closing down. They're padlocking stores. But what happens to the owners of those properties? One owner is coming out and saying that he was told by the Queens District Attorney that he would be fined $50,000 unless he evicted the illegal cannabis shop. The landlord got the tenant to surrender the lease, avoiding lengthy court proceedings. Yet the space on a busy corridor remains empty, and the landlord says he can't get the city to remove the padlock. We acted within 24 hours of the notice, he said, and now we are waiting to get possession of our store. Mayor Adams gave his crime stats for the second quarter of 2024. As I said, this will be my last story. I'll wrap it up after this. He said he's really pleased with what Police Commissioner Caban and his entire team are doing during a press conference at police headquarters. For the 6th month in a row, crime was reduced in all overall crime index categories. In June 2024, with a 4% drop in major offenses, major indicators in June 2024 compared to 11,040 in June 2023. There were 20. That was the number of crimes in June of 2023, and I don't know if I said that there was 10,598 in June of 2024. Five categories went down, but rape and felonious assault were up. Hate crimes were also up 68% in June of 2023. Now, when Mayor Adams said he inherited a 40% increase in crime when he took office, we saw everything from shootings to illegal mopeds, dirt bikes, and ghost cars. The initiatives that we have put in place are working. The mayor said that New York City is the safest big city in America. Gee, that was a slogan that former Mayor Bill de Blasio used, which you will see on my blog 100%. You'll see that as the background. Now, the various chiefs patted themselves on the back for the good job the mayor said they were doing. And when questioning began, this reporter said to Mayor Adams, "You may say crime is down, but in the 49th precinct here in the Bronx for the past 2 years, overall crime is up 34.89%, and crime has not gone down in any of the 7 index categories." I said manpower at the 49th precinct is only 74 officers, down from a one-time high of over 250 officers. I added that when former police commissioner Chase was up on the dais, I asked him how much crime goes unreported, and his answer was that there was no gauge to figure out how much crime goes unreported, but Commissioner Chase said much crime goes unreported. And I included the Metro North rezoning plan and other various housing projects that will put 9,000 new units of housing for 20,000 new residents in the 49th precinct, including 50 people currently incarcerated in Rikers Island, which the community was told would be stage 4 cancer patients that will be placed in an empty building at Jacoby Hospital. But now the Health and Hospital Corporation admitted that they could only be as little as diabetics, and they will be free to roam wherever they want in the community. That seems to have drawn the biggest look from Mayor Adams, who said he did not want to see a bait and switch operation, and he would look into it further. Chief LaPetrie said that he can touch a little bit about the 49th precinct, saying there is a 2-year uptick in crime, about 35%, and increases in other categories. He added the precinct has become a summer zone with added officers, to which I said, yes, 7 SRG officers. SRG officers are used in precincts that have high auto theft or auto theft car parts, and they are called for demonstration and parade duty. Chief of the department, Jeffrey Madry, said a new commander was put in place in the 49th precinct, and he added that in the 1 week the commander has been there, it's been a major difference by pushing crime down. Chief Madry added that the new commanding officer is going to be making a big difference at the 49th precinct. Mayor Adams asked about manpower numbers because he wanted to see what Chief LaPetrie was going to answer, and the chief answered, with the graduating class and speaking to Chief Madry, they will be moving hundreds of officers to the Bronx and then distribute them to the precincts. So hopefully the Bronx precincts will get more officers that we need. And I'm going to wind up wrapping it up here. And if I just want to hope that you had a good 4th of July, and I want to remind you to be careful outside because there is an ozone warning for today. It'll probably be for tomorrow also. So let me say goodbye to you. I know I ran over. I want to thank Councilman Andy King for coming on the show. And I want to thank you for watching, whether you're watching me live or on YouTube at any time, at the links provided on my page, my Facebook page. So let me say thank you for watching and goodbye.
Undoubtedly, Africa is the best tourism destination on Earth. The continent is blessed with the most conducive atmosphere. To feel and enjoy these blessings, join the most productive one-week tour of the continent organized by Daylight Africa every September 2nd to September 9th to see beyond the fallacies about Africa on the mainstream media. Contact us at daylightafrica@gmail.com or call 718-822-5555. Daylight Africa. Revolutionizing tourism industries in Africa.